Hello and welcome to another episode of Combos and Chill. Man, we are already on episode 21. And dude, it's super cool to see a lot of familiar faces that they're watching the show. Thank you very much for tuning in. So before starting, and I just want to give an announcement that the second giveaway, I will announce the winner on 21st. That's on Tuesday. So make sure you tell your friends. Go to the post on the page and tag your friends and do all the drill. You're gonna win a download code for NFS Heat. So that's a good deal, yeah? So go ahead and tag your friends for that, and best of luck for everyone. So today's guest is a guy who I know through other friends, and a few years back he made his own game from scratch. That's beyond amazing. So tonight we're gonna dig down and see what this guy went through and what was the thought process behind it. And before we hit it, thank you very much for tuning in again. So make sure you share this video on your timeline. Let your friends know about the page. Let's get more traffic into the page, and let's grow this community so we can make this content for you guys. And this show is regarding me and my guest talking about topics that we share, and we talk about it over a cup of tea. So I will not waste any more time. This is my good friend Maxim Nawangwe. How you doing, man? How's everything?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. And thank you for hosting me on this podcast. I've been watching a couple of episodes since you started, and I'm really happy with how it's grown. And I'm honored to be part of it.
Oh man, you don't need to mention all these things. It's like all the pleasure is mine because, dude, it's been a while since we talked, and like I think the last time I met you was in 2017. I think when I was down in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I mean, we catch up and we talk about random stuff, but now we're gonna be talking about games. I mean, you see, if you're watching the stream on your other device, you see I have this MK2 type of vibe going on because this is for the gaming sessions I bring this layouts, and so just to give it that arcadey feel.
Very appropriate. Very appropriate. I love it. It looks good.
So tell us about yourself, man. How you been coping up in this pandemic? How's the stuff in Malaysia? How's the things over there, man?
Well, I mean, I can't complain. Malaysia has been handling this pandemic pretty well compared to every other country. We're almost down to no local transmissions. Most of our transmissions are coming from abroad. So yeah, Malaysia is doing pretty well. And as for me, I mean, I'm living and working in Malaysia. I came from Uganda. I'm half Russian, half Ugandan.
Yeah, that's
born in
the
Russia,
odd mix.
raised in Uganda. Yeah, I know everyone says I'm probably the only one in Malaysia right now. But yeah, so I was born in Russia, lived in Uganda, and I fell in love with games at a very early age. Probably since I was 6, when my dad got us our first Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and we played Mario all day, all night, and I think we broke 3 of those consoles while we had them. And I'm probably sure my dad thought it was a big mistake introducing me to video games.
Was he a gamer himself?
No, he was not. He was just like, okay, well, what's the best thing I can get right now that will keep my kids busy without, needing my attention. So yeah, game consoles were perfect for him, but little they didn't know that this was the stuff that was going to inspire us to make exactly that in the future. So yeah, I wanted to make games since I was 13, and I remember the first time I googled up how do you make games, and then I
Really, you
realized
went that deep into the thing just to Google it, how to make games?
Yeah, and I was really young. This was like 13 years of age, and then I heard about this thing called programming. I was, what the hell is that? And I checked it out, and it was way too complex for a 13-year-old mind. Maybe not today, but back in the day, that was voodoo. So I googled up how do I make games without needing to know how to program, and I came up with a few suggestions. Like particular softwares you just drag and drop stuff, add logic to it, and that's what I did. I found the software that I could use to make games, and I started making games since the age of 13. And yeah, it was a funny story how I even got that software. I remember because I was living in a valley, and back in Uganda we had pretty bad roads and all that stuff. I was still a
Hmm.
kid. Then the only way you could get internet back in the day was by going to an internet cafe.
Okay, yeah,
Uh,
the old school
the
days, man.
nearest, yeah. So the nearest cafe to my place was like a 20-minute walk away uphill because I was living in a valley. So yeah, I would walk all the way, and then I downloaded this software which was 3 megabytes in size. Back in the day, all we had was 1 megabyte floppy disk, so I couldn't bring the whole
Exactly,
thing
yeah,
with me back home.
yeah,
So I
man.
had to make 3 trips to download this software into 3 parts, just so I could start making games, and that's what I did. And then, when I graduated, it was time for university. I asked my dad if I could do game design in university, and he was
Hmm.
like, seriously? Like, I don't think any parent takes game design as a serious
I mean,
profession.
I mean, obviously, I agree with you because it's very hard to reach out to them and like explain this that okay, this thing is a thing now. You need to believe in it. Like a
Yeah.
lot of kids are into it, and it's hard to explain to them because I had my share of hard times to explain to my folks about music, because I
Yeah.
always say this. Like the first time my dad came to one of my shows, he was like, "So basically, you're a dancer now." I'm like, "Thank you very much, Dad. That's what I was exactly trying to do, become a dancer."
Yeah, it's especially those days. All this new whatever is hot now,
Hmm.
you couldn't have imagined it back in the day as a boomer.
Yeah.
Like now look at the industry, right? Look at the gaming industry. It's overtaken music, it's overtaken movies. It's now
Hmm.
the highest
Exactly.
earning entertainment industry. It's worth hundreds of billions.
Which
So
I
yeah,
think one of the reasons is COVID-19. With the
yeah,
whole
yeah,
COVID-19, the whole gaming industry and the
it's
games
booming.
boomed, the prices boomed, even like the gadgets and like, everything like webcams, anything comes to streaming or anything like gaming, like, those gadgets, it just boomed.
Hmm.
The very, very crazy, man.
Yeah, yeah, it's this definitely the digital age.
Hmm.
And yeah, so probably my dad now is probably thinking about it. It's like, oh yeah, I should have just let him do game design.
So,
Anyway,
okay, so in your line of work, did it affect you with the whole COVID-19 thing, or it was just nothing special?
uh, well, I mean, so yeah, so basically, I'm not really a game developer right now for my day job.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that that is my passion,
Mm-hmm.
I am a software engineer now because that's what my dad would allow me to do. And the reason I did software engineering is because there's plenty of coding involved in software engineering, a lot of programming, and that's one thing that software games is actually software. So if you're doing software engineering, you become really good at programming, then you can make a good game if you're good in the other artistic domains.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, now what I do is software engineering, and this is one of the jobs that hasn't really been affected by the pandemic. I'm not sure about other companies, but in my company, we haven't had any layoffs. Um, we're still doing pretty good because most of our products are digital. So
Mm-hmm.
people who are into software engineering now, I mean, we are working remotely, but we always could. It's always been the kind of job that you could do remotely, and that's why you have a lot of people who are doing this nomad, digital nomad
Mm-hmm.
work
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as a
Exactly.
software
Yeah.
engineer. So yeah, it hasn't really. In fact, I quite like it. I mean, like just able to stay at home and work. Sometimes it gets depressing, but I've learned how to work around it. And yeah, I think my life is a bit more exciting now. Ironically, during the pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, man. I just want to give a quick shout out to Brent Rivera is in the house. Thank you very much, Brent, for he's saying yo yo. What's up, Brent? Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks for whoever is watching. Please do share this video with your friends. Share it on your timeline. Let them know about this page. Let's grow this community together so we can make all
Yeah,
these type of content for you
yeah,
guys. So
yeah. Let's
for
do some more combos and chill.
yes, so for whoever is tuning in right now, this guy, his name is Maxim Nawangwe. He's a game developer, let's say by night, because that's not his day job for a time now. But he
Yeah.
made a game by himself called Outrush, and it was a success. And it took him it took you around 3 years. Like you did it all by yourself, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, at least 95% of the game. I mean, towards the end of the game, I had to get a little help from a friend to
Mm-hmm.
do the music because I couldn't do. I still can't do any kind of musical composition.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, most of it was me. I did all the programming, all the art, all the direction, the sounds.
So
Uh,
can you give us
yeah.
like a bit more insights? Like how was okay? First of all, what was like? When was that flare in your brain that oh, I want to do a game, and I gonna start writing the game scenes and like directing it? When that hit you?
Uh, I think it was during another project I was working on. I was working on a game before that.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't much of a success, and during that time I was also doing a lot of research
Mm-hmm.
on how to make a good game, what are the right steps to take, and then I realized I'd been doing it wrong all along. I mean,
Really?
maybe yeah. Like so, what we were doing is we were focusing on the story and the setting and the art before the actual gameplay, right? Before the gameplay mechanics.
Which we all
Uh,
do when it even comes to music.
yeah. So basically, what happens is people get excited. Oh, why don't we make a game about like Hitler or something? And like we make him do these funny things, and you don't think about how the game will actually be played. So that's the problem, that's the major problem I was facing in game development at the time. And we're doing this
Mm-hmm.
project that wasn't a success because of that. Although we did try to include a lot of gameplay elements in it,
I
like
think I was
towards the
part of that era that you guys were
oh yeah.
writing this when I walked in and like that was the first time I met you guys and it was crazy, man. I mean, the concept was completely different when you guys released that. Was it Drop Hitler or what?
It was called send Hitler to hell.
Yeah, send hell. Yeah, send hell to Hitler. Like sell Hitler. Send Hitler
Yeah,
to hell. Wow, such a
yeah.
tongue twister. Yeah, I mean,
So
I
that you
was.
see,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
see, the thing is, we started with the story. We were like, hey, why don't we make a game about sending Hitler to hell? So that's how the, the idea about it was, and because of that, it wasn't very fun to play.
But I mean, it was like okay, the concept was like it wasn't new, but the way you guys, I mean, dude, when it reached to a point that people were sending you like pictures of their high scores and stuff like this, well, that would be enough, extra push to go and do more games and invest more time and you know
Yes.
making new games for yourself. And I
Yeah.
think why that game didn't work because I was part of the whole thing that was going on. I think it was too much of like ego clashes. If you, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because the guy who was in charge wasn't a. You see, I can
Uh,
see it on your face, man. I mean, like I remember those days, man.
yeah. I mean, I would put it in a way that it was just wrong timing, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what?
I think we were all young people. We didn't know exactly what we were doing, but it was a good learning experience.
Yeah, man. Obviously, you guys were doing it well. You guys were going the steps. You guys were doing the fundamentals and everything. Everyone except that guy was working together. You see, you see what I'm trying to say. And you know what?
Yeah.
There's people in the comment. My girlfriend's in the comment. Thank you very much, babe, for tuning in. Adnan is in the house. What's up, dude? Thank you very much for tuning in. Akilish, the guy who is the responsible person for the illustration of the brand Combos and Chill, is in the house, and he's asking you, what
Yeah.
engine did you use?
So I use the Unity engine. I've always been using the Unity engine since the beginning, and I
Mhm.
probably won't be using any other. I'm working on a new project now, which will probably be Unreal.
Oh,
And
nice.
the reason I use Unity is because I've always been very proficient in the C# programming language,
Mm-hmm.
which is a relatively easy language for anyone to learn. That's why I went with Unity. So yeah.
Can you give us more like insights? Like, okay, is there like different features in different programs, or it depends on how you program the codes and like you do the coding, or it's
Yeah, so um, obviously there's some game engines that are superior to others. Like definitely Unreal has been in the industry much longer,
Mm-hmm.
and they tend to make more money because they work with really big brands, to make
Exactly.
some crazy games. I mean, Unreal is making Fortnite right now, so with the amount of money that they're making from it, it's hard for a company like Unity to keep up. But Unity is still doing a really good job, and it's especially doing a good job in the mobile space where Unreal is lacking. And because my game was targeted to its mobile players,
Mm-hmm.
Unity was the better choice for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think, I mean, in like deep down inherently, I don't think any game engine is I mean, if you are really good at what you do, you can make any game engine work. Some people don't even bother using game engines like Unity or Unreal. They do write a game from the scratch, and some of those games that were written from the scratch are still some of the best that's ever been made. So yeah, I don't think there's a very big gap between engines like Unity or Unreal. It all depends on who's behind the game.
And we have Gemma. Sorry if I'm butchering your name, Gemma. Gemma Osiku. She's saying, "Oh my God," with a lot of laughing smileys. Sorry, laughing emojis. I'm very bad with these things, man. So,
Yeah.
so
So
why you don't take us a bit more insight with the whole thought process? Okay, you said it was it wasn't your first game that you thought about, like to make Outrush in the beginning. So, what made you make Outrush? What was the first thing that came up to your mind that you want to make a game within this category of Outrush?
yeah, so like I said before, one of the biggest mistakes we did, especially with Send Them to Hell, is we're focusing on the story from the start,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay,
So I
isn't it the
wanted
story the main part of the game, or what is it?
Uh, I don't know. I guess it depends. Some people are more driven towards narrative focused games. Some
Mm-hmm.
people are more just about the gameplay. They just want to play, say, FIFA or a fighting game or whatever. They don't really care about the story.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in all these games, gameplay should always come first when you're designing them. Um, unless you have a really big team I mean, if you're an indie developer like me, I think it's better to approach it in a way that you can come up with a gameplay that's engaging, and then you can figure out how to stick a story to that. So that's the approach I took for making Outrush. And the first time I did Outrush, all I was thinking of is, first of all, I needed an inspiration, right? I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
just, no one can really just make a game from the scratch. That's a really heavy undertaking. So I thought about, first of all, I thought about the target audience, going to be mobile gamers, because I wanted to make a mobile game. I wanted to make a game that one person could easily make, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mobile games are relatively easy to make, and even within the mobile space, I was also thinking about what's the easiest genre I can work with. And by then, at the time, I think one of the most popular games was Temple Run. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I'm
It was
like
an
I'm
endless.
I'm that gamer when it comes to mobiles. I have my own ideology of it. I think it's just I don't know. It depends on the game.
Yeah, so one of the most famous games at the time was Temple Run, and what it was
Temple
an
Run. Yeah, yeah,
endless.
yeah. I know Temple Run.
Yeah,
I
so
know
Temple
Temple
Run
Run.
was
Yeah.
an endless runner, and you could only play it with one finger.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a game you could easily play anywhere, like in the subway, on a toilet, or whatever. You're just swiping your finger left and right to move your character left, right,
Mm-hmm.
slide down by swiping down.
Easy access.
So that was my inspiration. I wanted to make a game as simple as Temple Run, as engaging, within the same genre, and that's how it started. But then I didn't want it to be a runner. I wanted to be something unique. So I thought, why don't I make a game like Temple Run that uh, that borrows all the elements from Temple Run, but it's not about running.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the first thing that came to my head was vehicles, aircrafts, and I just thought about how can I apply these elements to something like flying,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I did with Outrush. But in the beginning, I didn't even have an I didn't even think about the element of flying. It was in the beginning it was just blocks. I just created boxes, and then I created shapes like would, that you'd have to like you morph your object into to
Mm-hmm.
pass through
Mm-hmm.
these shapes. And that's how it started. The whole aircraft idea came about maybe a week later when I was like, oh, this would make sense for a plane flying through these holes, you know. And yeah, and then the idea just grew from there, you know. And even the art style of the game was not attached to the game until probably 2 years later. So for 2 years, the game did not have a style. It was just pure gameplay, and how I can make that gameplay engaging, addictive.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously 2 years is a long time. It wasn't really that amount of time. Probably there was about 1 year of hiatus in between. Maybe the real amount of time I took for developing it was 6 months at most. Yeah.
So
And then
yeah, tell me, carry on.
yeah, so eventually, I mean, every single time I would add a feature to the game and I would show it to people, they would always be like, "Wow, this is great. Why don't you keep working on this?" You know, every time I was in a hiatus, that's how I would come out of it. People give me positive reception, and then I keep working on it until a point where I attached the art style to the game. And the way the art style came about is through this music, right? I was watching this movie, a movie called Drive, Ryan Gosling, and first of all, that was an amazing movie. But what really made it for me was the music, which was basically synth pop.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
yeah, I can hear that in the soundtrack of the game as well.
yeah, so when I heard the music in the movie, I fell in love with it. I was like, first of all, I went online and I searched for this music on YouTube, and then I realized that most of the art style behind the music was, you know, this whole uh, 80s vision of the future. You know, like the Tron movies, a lot of laser ages, and you know, the whole Miami Vice vibe to it.
Exactly, yes.
That sun and all that.
Even the logo
And
represented.
yeah, so the
Yeah.
logo has that as well. So when I realized that there was this art style behind the music, I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna make this game look like that and have that kind of music. And then that's how the game got its identity. You know, the game got its identity 2 years in, and yeah.
Was it like did you had like a lot of ideas on the run while you were processing the like while you were directing the game and you were like, let's say 80% almost done?
Oh, of course, man. Like, you see, the one of the worst things about game development is you never really know when it's done. You can't. It's up to you to decide that the game is done. You know, and I had that dilemma for the longest time, and it wasn't only me. All my friends were telling me,
You're not
you know,
alone.
you can make it better. Can you just hold out a little bit, you know? And I remember there was a point where I actually just became stubborn about it. I'm like, no, I'm releasing it in 6 months. There's nothing you can do to stop me.
You're
Okay?
not
This is
alone.
happening.
Even in music, we're like this. We write something and we know it's good. We know it's time to release it, but I'm like, nah, change this, change that, remove this, add this. So I'm sure because they're all part of the same art platform, but it's for you. I think is much more of a challenge of like how to say it, like risking removing something or enhancing it on that last minute. Either you need to be like on your top A game. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
so I can see the struggle over there, man.
yeah. It's terrible, and you know, you have to balance that also with making sure it's still a quality product. You know, because there are two quotes that I know that always clash with each other. One of them is by very famous game developer, Japanese guy, the guy who designed Mario, Zelda, Shigeru Miyamoto, right? So he
Yes.
said that uh, a rushed game will always be bad, and
Exactly.
and and a delayed game will eventually be good, right? And then there's another quote saying that a good game is a finished game, right? So a good game is a finished game, yeah, but then you still cannot rush it.
Yeah.
So you have to find a good balance between these two quotes, and yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. But the good thing is these days it's easy to like upload a game for publishing, especially if you're doing something like a mobile game. You could always release it first, and then gather data from it, see if people like it, test the waters, and then you could always easily just send an update. Unlike back in the day where you had to finish a game 100% and then you ship out the CDs or the cartridges. Those ones you couldn't update.
Yep.
But these days it's a bit easier. But that's still a dilemma though.
So I just gonna jump back to the comments. We have a lot more people in. Savannah, she's saying loving the podcast. Thank you very much. Gas is in the house. He's saying Maxim, my boy. What's up, Gas? What's up, man?
What's up, Gas?
Yeah, man.
You
What's
better
up,
ask
Gas?
some tough questions.
By the way, whoever has a question, like the second comment that I'm going to be reading, whoever has a question for Maxim, please drop it in the comment section, and I'm sure Maxim would be more than happy to answer your question. And before moving on, I'll be announcing the second giveaway winner on 21st of July. That's Tuesday, so make sure you go to the page and do the drill. Tag a friend, like and share the post. Do all the good stuff, share the love, so you're going to be one of the lucky winners. If you are one of the lucky winners. So back to the comment section. Gemma is asking what inspired the artistic design. The colors are so unique.
I think I already talked about this already, right? Basically, the art style was derived from the music, right? When I had the Drive soundtrack, which was all synth pop. I googled up synth pop, and then I saw all the art behind the album covers, and then I just fell in love with that whole synthwave universe, synthwave, retrowave, synth pop.
Did you had another idea, like other designs to go for, or you wanted this retro design?
Well, I was experimenting with different designs. I was trying to get inspiration from other games, but nothing that I tried worked until I actually saw what's behind synthwave. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, this game was always meant to be. And in fact, there's been one time in the early stages where I was about to make it look like Temple Run, like the towers were going to be all this had all this Inca engravings and all that, and it will be around a forest, and your aircraft will actually have like a tiny cute pilot inside.
Oh, okay.
But that was it wasn't who I was, and that game could have probably even been more successful now because most of mobile gamers are kids. But I just wanted to make something that I was passionate about. So.
Like, in what sense you see, like you say that it might been more successful? Is your game like it has an age restriction or like a specific target, or is this like a marketing thing you're talking about?
Well, I mean, if you make a game with all these cutesy graphics, and cute characters and all that, you're opening up that game to a much larger audience. These days, the Google Play Store and Apple App Store are very particular about content rating, right? So if your game has any elements of violence or something that does not appeal to kids, they probably won't market it to a younger audience. So you're already cutting off millions of people if you decide to take a serious route when designing a game. So and kids these days are much more inclined. I mean, probably because they're using their parents' credit cards to pay for items in games. So usually those games that are targeted towards kids in the store, they make a lot of money, because and kids love gaming. A lot of kids these days are playing, and I was even surprised to find out that some kids actually do play Outrush, despite the serious atmosphere to it.
Well, Gas is saying, when are you gonna start making your second game? And he's like, Maxim, where the fuck is the second game? He wants to play it.
I'm already working on something new now.
Okay, so are we going to be the first people to hear about this?
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you host me again on your podcast,
for
we
sure,
can have
man.
For
sure, man. For sure. Well, this platform is yours. That's why you're here, man. You can promote the shit out of your fucking product, man. Just go for it.
All right. I'm working on something new now. It's gonna be a rhythm-based game. It's gonna be it's gonna have plenty of music. It's from the beginning, the
Okay.
design is going to be based around music. So yeah, I'm going to be collaborating with a lot of people in the music space for this particular game.
Okay, I think that was a teaser. So,
Yeah,
you know what? Let's hit
that's
it
all you
to.
get.
Yeah, that's what you get. Gas. So you need to wait, bro. Wait. And Gemma is laughing at gas. So you know what? Why you don't explain to us? I'm gonna be playing the first draft that you sent me, the one that you actually shot with your phone. So tell us, just give us insights, like what's going on, man? Because I don't understand all this coding. So tell us.
Yeah, so basically what that clip shows is just the very early stages of development where I didn't even have a concept of what the game would look like. It was just basically game design. I was just thinking about a block flying through space, and you have to squeeze this block through holes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a hole that's shaped like horizontally or vertically. If it's vertical, you have to rotate your block vertically. Horizontal, you rotate it back, and that was it. That was all the game was in the start. I didn't have any other idea of what it would be at the time. So that video just shows me testing it out in Unity, and the game didn't even really turn out like that, because if you do look, those blocks are really detailed, right? When the
Mm-hmm.
when the when the object smashes into them, they disintegrate and all that. So something like that would not even work on a mobile phone. So the game became much more simplified in the later versions. But yeah, that was basically the start of it. That video was probably the earliest I had ever recorded of the game.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can hit it and we watch the video of. I think that was like initially the final design for it, as in like you were planning to go there with it, yeah. Like it's the one with the dark background, and it's basically the whole thing.
Yeah, so I think that video was probably in the second year. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a 2 year gap between those two videos, and by then I'd already had an idea of I already like decided it's gonna be an aircraft, and I just come up with a new ability then, because before it was only just rotating your craft, passing through holes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting by adding a firing mechanic. So that's what you see in that video. You're shooting blocks,
Mm-hmm.
taking them out of your way. But even at that stage, the game wasn't that interesting. It wasn't engaging. The graphics were not really that interesting. It wasn't doesn't look that fun.
Like,
But
okay, what was the reason that you're saying it like it wasn't fun? Was it because of any specific like you were holding on any idea, or you had a lot of ideas on the table? What was the main
uh,
reason behind it?
I wasn't like I didn't have ideas. I wasn't holding on to anything. It's just that first of all, I didn't have ideas, and the game was boring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it took me a while. I was probably like in a 3 month hiatus after that video, trying to figure out how can I make this game interesting, until I took it to a game development meetup. Sometimes here in Kuala Lumpur, we do have some game development meetups organized by the Independent Game Developer Association here in Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed the game to a few developers, and they all like gave me a few pointers here and there, telling me, hey, why don't you add something like boosting? Maybe you can have walls that you can break
Okay,
through and all
okay. The
that.
yellow ones is the boost, yeah. The yellow balls.
Yellow balls. And the yellow blocks. I
Well,
don't know. I don't
there
know
is red
what.
blocks and there's. I mean, I'm seeing the beta version now, so
Okay.
there is that yellow globes. What are they? They are like the points, or like speed or boost or points. What is it?
Oh yeah, I think those were just meant to be collectibles at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just an extra challenge to you is to collect those things rather than just passing through the blocks. But even that was not interesting enough, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Those yellow things, I still retained them in the final game. They just came in the shape of green gems, as you'll see later. But yeah, like what happened is I took the game out for other people to test out, and they gave me ideas, and I used those ideas to improve on the game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, at that point in time, the game was not fun at all. I did not have any intention of releasing it at the time.
So, just a second. I think disconnected. Stay with me. Reconnection. Oh, we are back. We had a bit of technical issue. I was not. I mean, people who are watching us, please let us know if everything is fine on your end. Today was a up and down type of sequence for my internet. I don't know what's happening with it, but tell us in the comment section if everything is it's working well. Please help us out. So, why we don't kick it back a bit and tell me. Okay, so you said you started playing Mario as your first game, yeah?
Yeah.
So, okay, can you tell me what was your top 3 games? Not specific on any console or anything. Like, what is your top 3 games that if they give you right now, you would say, fuck yes, I want to play it?
Yeah, that's a very easy question to answer. I mean, I just recently played The Last of Us 2, and I think I would probably consider that the greatest game ever made so far. Nothing quite compares to it in terms of gameplay, art style, graphics, storytelling, direction. It was perfect. And then I've always been a huge fan of The Legend of Zelda. So I would say maybe The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is my second favorite game. Used to be my favorite until the Last of Us dethroned it. and then yeah, I will always be a fan of the original Super Mario Brothers, the one that got me into making games.
Oh man.
So
yeah, obviously. So
changed my life.
Gas is saying, hey Max, you need to buy Ghost of Tsushima, like yesterday.
I was actually gonna buy it today. You know, I was literally looking at the buy screen, to the checkout screen, trying to make up my mind about whether I want to get it or not. And then my responsible side won over. Yeah, I'm gonna wait a little while until
till it gets
drops.
a bit like I mean, there is a lot of good games coming up, man. There's like Far Cry. This Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, apparently it got higher reviews than Last of Us. I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I read some places that it got like much more, positive reviews. And I'm like, for me, I'm not into a lot of games, as you know. I mean, the first time I picked up a game, it was because of you sitting and playing Rocket League, and I watched you play it, and I'm like, wait a second, this game looks fun. But now, dude, since that time till now, I think we met like 2015, and you were playing this game, and since then I'm playing that game until today.
Yeah, that is a very addictive game, man.
Super
I apologize
addictive.
for introducing that to you.
And I have those tendencies to get to become a fiend when it comes to these type of things, you know.
Yeah, that game is way too addictive, and I love it, man. I think I'll put that in the top 3 as well. Probably dethrone Mario for my third favorite game.
Dude, the thing is, like, once I started, like, like how to say it, like pretending to learn the tricks, then you realize, the other players are on like different caliber, man. The mechanics behind the game, the dynamic, the way the ball moves around, the wall around this arena, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the first draft of the game. The beta version was not like nothing like this.
Yeah, and that's what makes Rocket League so amazing is there is no such thing as a skill ceiling, right? There will always be someone better than you just because of how the game was designed. It has infinite possibilities around its gameplay.
Dude,
so you can never have the best player in the world. There will always be someone better than you. There's always room to learn something new.
Have you watched any of the highlights, like the tournaments?
Yeah, sometimes I do. I mean, I don't game as much anymore as I used to before. But sometimes I do catch a few clips of what's happening in the Rocket League universe, and freaking mind-blowing.
Dude, it's freaking crazy. You know what? Okay, it's a good section that we play the rapid fire rounds, which I gonna give you 2 options, and you choose which option you want. And if you want to explain why you chose that option, be my guest, and all the camera angle is yours. And for whoever is still watching, thank you very much for tuning in. Please share this video with your friends and join us for this rapid fire rounds. Give us your answer in the comment section. So let's have fun together. So are you ready to go, Max?
Yeah, kick it.
MK or Street Fighter?
MK, any day.
Is it because of the Unreal Engine?
No, it's because of the ripping the limbs apart, because of the fatalities, the brutalities. Yeah, I love that shit.
Okay, moving on. Multiplayer games or solo?
Multiplayer, always.
Is that because it's a new thing or?
I feel like playing with other players, it feels more realistic and it's way more competitive. I've always been a competitive person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was always more inclined to multiplayer. There are always a few exceptions that come around, like The Last of Us, like The Legend of Zelda. But come on, Rocket League, like that's a game that never dies, you know,
Yeah,
because every single multiplayer match you play is a new experience. That's why I love multiplayer games a lot. And if I could make some, I would. That's all I would be making. But it's a bit hard to make multiplayer games.
Well, I want to talk about that a bit more, like later on after we're done with this gaming section, with this with the rapid fire rounds. I want to talk about this whole because I haven't like I've talked to a few people regarding like what is the effects of multiplayer, like you know what's the effects that it did on the society, you know. So we're gonna talk about that later on in the show. So moving on, campaign based or open world?
Ooh. I would say open world.
I never got into open world. I don't know why. Maybe I suck at it because I don't know where the hell I'm going, you know. It's just weird.
Yeah.
So moving on, CS or COD?
COD.
Really? You are the first person who says COD.
You know, if a game developer is telling you COD, you best believe, man.
Why?
I mean,
tell us.
Okay. I mean, it's all about a matter of preference. I just don't like. What is it again? Did you say Counter Strike?
Yes.
CS? Yeah, like it's a game where you fire and the bullets just go anywhere, man. They don't. They're trying to avoid the enemy.
No.
It's weird.
No, man. Thank God.
It's the game is playing against you, you know. It's not trying to make you feel good about yourself, you know. But something like COD, it really gives you a good adrenaline rush. And I know that sometimes that can be harmful. And yeah, probably you said we're going to talk about the negative effects of multiplayer. COD is probably one of those games that has damaged, you know, the multiplayer gaming. But I love it. I love it.
Well, your buddy over here is like agreeing with you. He's saying, "Yo, COD ho." He's like, "I'm game shaming you. I don't get your reference. Gas.
Yeah.
Elaborate more, or maybe it's just a gas comment, you know."
Yeah, he's just trying to be sarcastic.
Moving on, man. DC or Marvel?
DC.
Is it a Batman Superman type of situation?
As long as Christopher Nolan made the Batman trilogy, it's always gonna be DC for me. Marvel is a bit too childish. I can't handle 90% of the movies that come out of Marvel.
Okay, that's I mean, that's fair enough. And moving on, sport games or a fusion of a sport game?
Fusion of a sport game.
Are we talking about Rocket League now?
Yeah. Sport games are way too realistic, and it's the same thing as just trying to translate a movie into a game, and you want the game to be exactly like the movie. So you try to make a sport game as realistic as possible. Then you're not really considering the controller. You're not really considering the experience of the player himself. You know. There are a few games that do it well. I think FIFA does it well, but I have more fun with games that are fusion than sports games.
Moving on, maybe this next one is gonna be a hard one. Red Dead Redemption or GTA?
Red Dead Redemption, bro. It's not hard at all.
Man, your taste in games it's not weird. It's just odd. Like you said COD over CS. It's like crushing my childhood dreams, bro.
Yeah, but I list have points to back it up. Man.
Exactly, because you're into developing games and you see it from a different perspective. Like
completely different. Yeah. And I would understand why people think it's weird.
Okay, this is the last one we're gonna do for this section. We're gonna come back to this rapid fire rounds again during the show. Last one for now: FIFA or PES?
It used to be PS, but
Winning
FIFA really
11?
caught up. Yeah, that used to be really good, but
Yeah.
FIFA really caught up. So I don't think I'll choose between those two. I would enjoy both of them.
Like, dude, FIFA ran the marathon like in like few years, and like PES was just like behind, way behind, even with
Yeah,
licensing
yeah,
and brands and stuff like this. It was just declining, 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 and suddenly you see. I mean, for me, FIFA 2012, I think that was the start point for FIFA just conquering the football game completely.
yeah. They overtook PES a long time ago, and they've kept that pole position since.
Hmm.
But I don't play those games much. I mean, I hardly play games these days anymore because I'm really busy. But especially FIFA and PES, like that's past me.
Hmm.
I don't.
So
Yeah, Rocket League took over.
yeah, man, obviously. So I want to talk. Okay, that's a good segue. Like the whole multiplayer community, we know that there is toxic people, and I'm talking about the effect that I mean, as I said, I've talked to my friend regarding this, and we kind of like reached to this conclusion that it has a bad effect on the person himself playing the multiplayer mode, because first of all, you get introduction, like you get introduced to different people online. You don't know who you're playing with. I'm not saying everyone is like, toxic, but most of them are. And you know what I'm talking when it comes to Rocket League, is just a huge ass fucking toxic arena of
Mm,
people. So,
yeah.
okay, let's talk like Fortnite. For example, when I see my niece, she's like so into the game, like super into the game, that she gets like agitated and it gets angry. Like, I see this multiplayer or like the battle royale type of modes and stuff like this really affecting this category of like this age of people. I'm talking about this side of multiplayer. What do you think?
Yeah.
What is your take on that? Do you think it has a bad negative effect on the person who's playing the multiplayer, or it depends on the age? Or tell us.
I think regardless of your age, any form of addiction will always, harm you. And multiplayer games are no different. They're some of the most addictive forms of media out there. If you're a kid that's constantly playing a game like Fortnite every day, almost the entire day, what you're doing is, you're feeding yourself with constant dopamine. You're depending so much on instant gratification, and as science has shown us, instant gratification always leads us into I don't know, basically people who uh, who enjoy delayed gratification have been shown to be happier and more successful than people who do instant gratification. And multiplayer games just give you that, because um, their matches are short. I mean, even for a game like Fortnite, maybe a match can last 15 minutes. It depends on when you die. You could die within the first minute. Next game, die. Next game. And a game like Call of Duty is one of those. Every single time you shoot someone, you get this huge surge of dopamine. You get a lot of adrenaline, and that fuels you for the next kill. And yeah, because of that, when you're not playing the game,
Hmm.
uh, it doesn't feel right. You feel uneasy. You're like, I want this hit right now. And because of that, you're not really putting much time into other things, other areas in life that could actually benefit you. You're not really putting in time to grow in other areas. You're just being a consumer for this constant dopamine hit. So yeah, I think any form of addiction, including gaming, especially multiplayer gaming, is bad for you.
I mean, whoever is still watching, please let us know what's your take on this topic, as in if the multiplayer can harm you. I mean, it's just regarding it. I mean, as what Maxime said, is like it's the addiction part that it comes in play. Just give us your take on it. Do you think it's like harmful or not? Because some people did see it on their children, and there's enough videos on YouTube that can indicate that it has a harmful side to it. But it's a very open debate, and it depends on the person itself. But sadly enough, it's already done damages and stuff like this. So yeah, man. I mean, that's what I feel like. For us, when we grow up, we like. Did you find like addiction? Would you rage?
Yeah, I did. I have had lots of phases of addiction, and there's so many moments in my life where this addiction actually affected me, affected other parts of my life, and there were so many moments where I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna cut off gaming for a while, so that I can get back on my feet. This has happened probably over 5 times throughout my life. Even here in Malaysia, I've had those moments, and now these days I'm very much aware of gaming addiction and what it can do to you. So every time I feel like that is creeping in, I get it under control right away. I think it's very important to be aware of stuff like this, because if you don't, you're going to get caught off guard, and then you're going to find yourself in a ditch that takes a while to get out of.
Exactly. So you know what? We're gonna go back to Outrush because that's the main topic. Sorry if I drifted away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be playing that section that there is the blocks. Can you give us an insight? What was that? What was the whole initial plan behind this? Was this one of the kind of like bosses of the game, or?
Yeah, so that was a new mechanic as well, because I realized even with all the boosting and the firing and rotating your craft, the game still wasn't engaging enough. Like you would play it for a couple of minutes and it gets boring fast. So until I introduced this boss fights, which adds a lot more dynamics to the gameplay, especially because these bosses were unpredictable, and I don't tell you how to fight them. You have to figure them out on your own. So, in addition to being unpredictable, they're also a form of a puzzle, right? So, that first boss that you see in that video was when I started, adding a few more of these combat elements to the game, and it added a lot to it. And yeah, it made the game more engaging. It's when I designed that boss fight that I think I decided I'm gonna finish this game. That's when I decided I'm gonna finish it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, very interesting because how like did you had a hard time to like write scripts for this thing or like directing it or how
Yeah,
was it, man?
of course. It was hard. Yeah, like every single boss in that game has its own script, its own behavior, how it reacts to the player,
Mm-hmm.
and not only in terms of the scripting, even the game design itself, because that particular boss has 3 levels representing the 3 altitudes that your aircraft can be in,
Mm-hmm.
and then it fires in a sequence that you have to understand. And once you learn its patterns, then you adjust accordingly, and then you'll also realize when you're playing the game that that boss has 3 life bars, for each for each elevation of that boss.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you deplete one of those life bars, that particular segment of the boss will recharge. So you have to plan how you're going to kill him. You have to make sure you deplete all his health bars
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, so that you can finish them off without one recharging as you're dealing with another one. So yeah, it took me a while. It took me like at least 2 weeks to design this boss alone.
Mm-hmm.
And and that was the experience designing the other bosses in the game as well. And I had more ideas, and more bosses to add to the game, but then I had to finish the game. There was no end to it.
Yeah, man, it's one of these things that you need to put a stop to it. And Brent is commenting. I remember watching a good old internet cafe fights from trash talking. I think it's it's a responsibility for the gaming community to create a better community to create a better atmosphere now, seeing that gaming isn't going anywhere. And Gemma is agreeing that gaming is addictive, and the sad reality is the moment that try to make a game with education in mind, it can become boring. So they're saying like games make learning games make learning fun, but they and then Gemma says she's correcting herself, but they don't. Then she's saying it's hard to balance. So what is your take on it? I mean, they're agreeing with us when it comes to like, having an effect on the person itself, on the community.
Uh, y- uh, I I I think yeah, it is hard to make a game that's educational, engaging, but I have seen a few people doing it well, and I think it's just only going to get better with time. And I also agree with the comment regarding creating a better environment
Mm-hmm.
for gaming. I think despite the fact that Fortnite gets a lot of hate, it still is doing a good job in pacifying a lot of what something like Call of Duty created. Uh, it's making the act of killing and shooting people a bit more muted.
Well, for me,
It's
it's like Fortnite and PUBG are in the same league for me. But it's just like it's the same thing basically. I don't see anything different.
Yeah, but then they're presented in a different way. PUBG always shows the blood. It shows the gritty reality behind what you're doing. Fortnite kind of, shows that, behind rose glasses. So
I think it's
yeah,
targeted much more for the younger, like teenagers and below, which PUBG is much more for like adults and mid-range and above. That's how I feel about it.
yeah. So what I'm saying is the existence of a game like Fortnite, I think, kind of improves the gaming. It improves the atmosphere. It makes things a bit more, a bit easier. I mean, imagine a kid playing something like Call of Duty instead of Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's that kid gonna grow up to be? How is it gonna? What's the reality he's gonna shape out of that?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
so
So
I think developers are already working on making the environment a bit more friendly.
mhm.
And then for Gemma's question, I mean, in regards to making, I mean, educational games not being engaging, I think all games are educational, man. I think one of the games that taught me English was when I was still a kid. Remember Metal Gear Solid?
Yes, man. Obviously, I couldn't finish that game at all. I was always dying in the first level, literally.
Yeah. So Metal Gear Solid had a lot of complex narrative behind it, and as a kid, I was always trying to understand what the story was, and in doing that, I was learning English in the process. And yeah, some of the things, some of the more important lessons in life, I learned from games. So I think they might not present themselves as strictly educational, but I
Hmm.
think I think the developers know what they're doing when they're creating these games. They're hiding lessons within there.
Well, there is that thing, but again, I mean, look at the universe. We're just bunch of raging people. Like if you cannot beat a boss, or you know what I'm talking about. It's just, you know what. Okay, the thing is like we can talk about this like for a whole fucking 24 hours. So there's no end to it. We're just gonna reach to like common grounds here and there. Each one of us has a different idea. But when it comes from your angle, because you're a developer and you make games for a living, which you're gonna be making in near future, hopefully. But okay, can you tell me the top three fundamental points that each developer needs to keep in mind when they want to develop their game?
Um, okay, so let me just try to pull some out of my head right now. Um, First of all, you need to work within your scope, right? If you're making a game, don't be too ambitious. Don't be like, oh, I'm gonna make the next God of War. You're an indie developer and you want to make the
Okay.
next God of War. Don't do shit like that. I see a lot of people doing that. Sharing their gameplay videos on social media and all that, trying to make the next Grand Theft Auto as one person. Yeah, that's a recipe for disappointment. So yeah, work within your scope. Do a bit of research and figure out what you can make as a solo developer.
Okay,
Right?
so yeah, that's one of the points. So
That's one of them.
don't look too high.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Don't look too high. Second of all, don't be afraid of getting some inspiration. it's almost impossible to create a game from the scratch. I think every single successful game right now is derived from another game. You know, every AAA game you see right now that's making it big comes obviously from, it's a mixture of different genres. You see a game like Ghost of Tsushima now, it's like a combination of something like the Witcher, and then maybe Sekiro, and the Legend of Zelda. There's
Shadow
a lot of
Warrior.
inspiration. Yeah. So yeah, don't be afraid to borrow elements from another game and then maybe build on top of that. Don't be a hero and try to make something that's new. You're not Elon Musk. We can't all be Elon Musks, So and even Elon is inspired.
Yeah. So the third fundamental point, like let's say the main important one, if you have.
The main important one is a good game is a finished game. There is no such thing as why I say a good game is a finished game is because despite the fact that there are some bad games out there, there's still always an audience for it, And you could apply that to any art, even if your art is bad or whatever you're creating, you feel like it's not up to par, just finish it. Just finish it, because we are living in a world with nearly 8 billion population. Out of those 8 billion, there's no way at least a million people are not gonna. There are gonna be at least a million people liking your game.
Yeah, obviously.
Whatever art you're creating. Yeah. So finish it. A lot of people like start making games and they're super excited about it, and then they just drop halfway through. And that's a mistake I almost made with Outrush. But everyone just kept on pushing me to finish it, and I did it. And yeah, that quote made way more sense to me. So yeah. Just finish whatever crap you're making.
Yep, and Brent is, I think he's agreeing with your comment that you said regarding Metal Gear Solid that you learned English from. Is like that PS4 game. Wait, which PS4 game you're talking about, Brent? Just let us know. I thought you're agreeing to whatever he said. So just let us know in the comment section which PS4 your game talking about. Like it's therapeutic for you, and it was a free game. Which one you're talking about? Tell us, man.
Journey.
Oh,
let's talk about Journey.
Oh, Journey. Wow. Yeah, Journey. Yeah, Journey was a crazy game, man. Dude, is that an open world game?
I wouldn't say it's open world. It's a very linear game. You're moving towards one direction. It has a few elements of open world, but it's very constrained. But yeah, Journey is amazing, dude. I've played that game probably over 10 times already.
And you got like Flower, you got Journey. There was another one.
I played Flower. There's another one called Abzu.
Flow. Okay,
yeah, Flow by the same company, right?
Yeah.
And they also recently released something on mobile. I think it's called Sky. SKY. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, it's just like Journey. No difference. Probably even a bit more polished than Journey. Journey will always be. In fact, Journey was an inspiration as well behind the art style of Outrush.
Nice.
The whole simplicity behind it, and in Outrush, when you play Outrush in the beginning of the game, your aircraft actually comes out of a temple, a structure that looks like a temple. Right? That was borrowed right out of Journey.
Well, yeah, Gas is confirming is like the game is called Journey, and Brent is saying that he was talking regarding the atmosphere for the gaming community, as in the whole conversation. So you know what? It's a good segment that we jump into the the trailer of Outrush for people who didn't watch it. So here you go, guys. So, Max, give us the insights. This was an amazing, very retro-ish. It gives that sunny day California or like Florida type of thing to it. So give us an insight.
Yeah.
So this is the temple you were talking about.
That was the tempo. Yeah, that was pulled straight out of Journey.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just wanted the game to feel mysterious, from the get-go. And yeah, so the story behind the game is very simple. It's just about you're an aircraft. You don't know why you're an aircraft. You don't know how you got into that universe.
Hmm.
And immediately as soon as you get out of that temple, you're contacted by an entity, that tells you that you're stuck in this world, and I'm about to help you get out of it. So the entire game is just you trying to get out of this outrush world,
Hmm.
and everything, all those obstacles that come to you is basically that world trying to destroy you. Because in the process of you getting out, it's detecting you as a virus or something like that. So it's trying to get rid of you. And yeah, so as you're playing this game, this entity keeps talking to you and telling you, who you are, why you got there, and what you have to do to get out.
So
So
there
that's
is
basically.
like a voiceover that talks
There's
to
no
you.
voiceover. It's just text based.
Hmm.
But I did want to introduce a voice later on in development, but there was no time to implement this. Maybe in the future, say if I ever plan on releasing this game on, say, consoles or PC, I
Hmm.
could expand on it more and introduce voice acting, but it's not really necessary. So yeah, that was the first trailer of the game. I did it myself. The music was composed by a good friend of mine, his band Dilka Desh,
Yes.
who composed the entire soundtrack for the game. They did a really good job with it, and yeah,
And they
it
gave
really
you that
brings.
synthwave type of
Yeah,
environment that you
yeah,
wanted, that
yeah.
sound that you were looking. It goes very well with the game itself, with the whole, like the, all the visuals and the game concept really goes and gels with the whole music as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
okay, let's talk about the music. Was it hard for you to like select the music that you wanted, or from the get-go you had this idea that you wanted to do a retro and you did it retro and you
Oh
knew
yeah.
which game you want to go for?
Yeah, as soon as I heard that music from Drive, I knew it was gonna be synthwave. I had no, I mean, I did not have any moment of hesitation during the direction of the music. As soon as I met up with Carlos, who was
Mm.
the
Who's the guy?
composer,
Yeah,
Carlos,
from
and
Delkadesh. Yeah.
his band Dil Kadesh. I told them from the get-go I want this to be very retro, very synthwave,
Mm.
and that's what they did. And the it didn't come out exactly as I envisioned it, but I just entrusted the composer with doing the music, and even if it didn't come out exactly how I wanted it to, it still did sound very unique, and it
Mm.
does give Outrush some kind of identity.
Mm.
Yeah, because I don't think there's any other game that sounds like Outrush right now. And every time you hear the music, you know exactly where that music came from.
Mm. So just I was as you said, like what I will talk you as, like I will tell you this as a musician, you know uh, we always make stuff and we like it, but down the line, let's say 2 or 4 or 5 times when you listen to it, I mean, Gas can correct me if I'm wrong. By the way, Ziada's in the house, is saying sup Max, he's saying sup
What's up,
Gas,
Ziad?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
welcome.
thanks a lot for tuning in, Z, man. It means the world to me. So I was saying, like, as a musician, we always, like, we go back and forth with our compositions. So, either we do that that wow factor from the get-go, but sometimes, like, I mean, most of the time we go back and forth and we change here and there or remove it or completely, like, delete the whole thing. So for you, did you had any moment of regret after the game was released that, oh man, I wish I added that, or I wish I changed this a bit? Did you had these type of moments?
No, no, because I remember when we were making the music, I was very particular about it, and I think there were very many moments where we completely scrapped some songs, and I did like tell him that, oh no, this doesn't sound aggressive enough. I need like more upbeat stuff. this is way too mellow, way too slow. There are some times where I just let some songs go and add them into the game. But then later on, I started appreciating the atmosphere and the flavor they gave to the gameplay at the time, because I had always imagined it to be something completely aggressive and the outrush. It looks like an aggressive game, but then I just agreed because he was like, trust me, it's gonna be good. And yeah, later on when I played it myself and I gave it a couple of rounds, I realized that yeah, sometimes this whole soft, mellow, like texture works for the game.
So what about the game
And
base? Did you regret like you didn't change anything about the game or enhance it, or you missed on something?
based on the music that he gave me, sometimes I would change some things. For example, the main menu in the game before had a very aggressive soundtrack that I bought royalty free off the internet, and it made sense for the background in that scene. But when he gave me the new one, which was a bit softer, a bit more Miami Vice, chill synthwave, I had to completely change the main menu to reflect that, because it looked out of place having that music in such an aggressive setting. And by the way, the music wasn't even done until say a month after the game was released. We were still adding more songs into it, as because towards the end of the game really gets hard. It's a very challenging game, by the way. I would say about only 2% of the people who play it finish it. And sometimes it even blows my mind how good people can get at this game.
Like obviously you got
But
videos from people that they have high scores and like the way they did it.
yeah, yeah, and I mean the game has leaderboards as well, right?
Nice.
It has leaderboards for every level, so you can compete with the rest of the world for that particular level. And I
Very
thought
nice.
I thought for the longest time I was the best player in the game, until I saw what other people are doing. And yeah, it blows my mind how good people got at this game.
Beating the guy who made the game
Beating the
himself.
creator, like beating the system.
Yeah, man.
I was so surprised, but yeah, like the music was gradually added to the game, because I realized in the last levels the music was too soft and the levels were too hard, so we needed something more aggressive, more upbeat, something that's really going to pump you up for those levels. So yeah, we made like 4 more tracks after the game was done, and we updated the last levels. Thankfully, by the time like people got to those levels, the music was already there, because it took people a while to actually get to the last levels.
I just want to read some of the comments. Mark Lagaspi in the house. What's up, bro? Thank you very much for tuning in. If you guys like different type of music, as in like, for the Filipino community, or like the punk rock and the hardcore stuff, go down to his channel, The Box, on Facebook. The guy does live sessions. He brings in musicians from the Philippines and he interviews them. So go down to his page and give him a like and give him a shout out. Thank you very much, Mark, for you that you tuned in. He said he just downloaded the game Outrush and he likes it. He says it's a nice game. And
thank you.
and Gas is saying once you release music or art, it becomes the people's property. Therefore, you should always move on after you finish the project and let the people enjoy the fruits of your creation. Yes, obviously, bro. I agree to that.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I don't think I've changed it since release.
So, I mean, you never had the thought as in like you wanted to change the difficulty. I mean, not the difficulty, as in like, change the levels, or like add this, remove this. You never had it.
Of course I did. In fact, I think for about a year after release, I think it's been a year since it was released. Yeah, for about a year I was changing the game, and I was doing it using data I collected from analytics, right? So basically what I did is I made sure I know where everyone is dying. Every time someone dies in the game or you finish a level, that's recorded as an event, and that event is sent to the analytics backend. So whenever people would die in one particular level, I would find out what block exactly did they die at, and then I would play it myself. and I tried to figure out why is this hard, because I was the best player in the world at the time, and I couldn't figure out why people found this challenging. So every time people would die, I would have to look at the data first, find out which block they died at, what elevation they were, what rotation the plane was rotating at, and all that stuff, and then adjust the level to make it a bit easier or harder. So for about a year, I was tweaking the game based on all the data I was collecting from players to make it easier and more accessible, more engaging. So yeah, it was a back and forth, feedback and then improvement. Yeah, I don't do that anymore because I feel like the game has reached a really good balance between challenging and accessible. So
So
yeah,
I
don't
want
do
to
that
know
anymore.
more now. As in, okay, so you get the analysis on like where people die exactly in the game.
Yeah, so basically, I collect some data in different points of the game, and this is all anonymous, by the way. So no one has to worry about whether I'm collecting your names or your
Oh,
data. It's
okay.
just you're just a number to me in the game. Yeah, so yeah, I have events for everything. I have events for when you start a level, when you finish a level, how long did it take you to finish a level, how many items do you collect, if you died, where did you die. I have events for if you actually bought a ship with your in-game money and stuff like that, because I want to know what people are doing in the game, and if there's something I can improve based on that data. So yeah, so for about a year I was constantly like checking that out and improving on it. And even when the game came out, I would always know how many people are playing at a certain point in time. I can know that now, but I'm not that interested in looking at the data anymore because I feel like the game already reached a good balance. But yeah,
I just want to correct myself, Mark. Sorry, it's the Box Live. So you guys go down to the Box Live, and he's saying thanks, man, dude. You don't need to thank me. By the way, Mark is one of the most old school dude I know in the scene. Like I'm talking back way back in like 2008 or 9 when I started. We were playing shows with these guys. He's a promoter, and it's good to have people like him around, to be here for you and like support you. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to whoever is still watching. Please share this with your friends.
yeah,
And again,
thanks for joining us.
yeah, man, don't forget, I'll be announcing the winner of the download code for NFS Heat for PS4 on 21st of July on the Combos and Chill page on Instagram. So go down there, read the post, do the drill, and let your friends know about this, and let's see who's gonna win this. So it's gonna be fun for me. It's always fun for me to introduce the winner. So Max, what you think we do the last round of rapid fire round?
Yeah, let's do it. Hit it.
So let's start with the first one is Watch Dogs or Far Cry.
They're both shit, man.
Wow.
But if I was to choose from those two, I'll probably choose Far Cry.
I thought at least because you're a multiplayer guy, you would go for Watch Dogs. Wait,
No,
is it Watch Dogs? No, that's
I think
Division. That's Division. That's my bad. That's my bad. Yeah. So you chose Far Cry. Cool.
Yeah.
Moving on. PC or console?
Console.
Okay. And by the way, whoever is still watching, please join us with your comments in the comment section. If you want to join us with your answers in the comment section, feel free and let's have fun together. Why you're laughing, bro?
I'm pretty sure some people are probably gonna be fired up by that, but whatever.
What? You chose console, yeah?
Yeah,
So we are in the same boat. We always get heat from the PC players, man.
exactly. I don't know why they just can't let us enjoy our lives.
Yeah, man. I love that meme that says like, haha, my $4,000 PC is way better than your console. It's like, dude, obviously. Okay,
Yeah, I
moving on. Okay, the next one is I need to play this game on 4K only, or fuck it, I'll deal with it. I will deal with whatever I have.
Fuck it, I'll do whatever I have.
So you will actually compromise the whole.
Yeah, it doesn't matter as long as the game is fun. If it's not fun, why bother? I've never been a spec freak. I've never been that kind of person who wants to get a 4K TV, the best console. That's why I'm not even a PC gamer. It's all about whether you're having fun or not. Are you having fun? I mean, if you get a 4K TV and you download a boring game, what's the point?
Exactly. And Gas is asking you, Max, hentai or nihilism?
I guess.
Super Gas.
I've always been a nihilist, so fuck your
Ah,
hentai.
no, man, you're not a nihilist. Okay, moving on. Directing a game based on a story or making a game with a simple concept?
Making a game with a simple concept. Yeah, I think I already answered that question in the
Mm.
start.
Yeah, I mean, you answered a lot of my questions from the beginning, man. I hate you.
Got you covered.
Moving on. A game can be perfect from day one, or you can't get rid of the bugs at all.
You cannot get rid of the bugs.
Like
I
never
don't
the
think there's.
bugs were. I mean, what creates the bugs? What is the issue?
It's bugs are just human error. Basically, a programmer just thought he knew what he was doing, and then he realizes later on that he did not think about one scenario, and that scenario just suddenly happens years later.
So
And
these
that's
are
a bug.
caused by what? Like like can you get like enlighten us more about where it comes from? Like okay, you said like the gamer himself is the reason of the bugs coming out. Sorry.
Yeah, because whenever a developer is making something, right, they always have an idea of exactly what the player is going to do. But you can't think of all scenarios, right? You create a system and you think the system is completely foolproof, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly you have a player who's just trying to break the game. He's just trying to do the most random things, something you would have never thought about, and then he finds out that yeah, he can pass through a wall, or fall through the floor, or whatever bug it might be, right? All bugs are basically they're all caused because of human error. It's just because the programmer did not anticipate something like that ever happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's why bugs happen.
It's very interesting that I thought the bugs come from the game itself because the games are not completed in that way in that sense. But as you're mentioning that it depends on the gamer himself, that's very interesting. I've never knew about that.
Yeah, I'm like I told you before, right? You can never really finish anything. You cannot finish like a musical piece or a game.
Mm-hmm.
You always have to cut off at a point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're gonna be the kind of person who's like, oh, we're gonna test this game for years, just so we can completely crash 99.99% of the bugs, you're
Mm-hmm.
never gonna finish this game, right? So yeah, so
Exactly.
there's a point where you just have to agree that the game is playable. It's playable at least 95% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
5% of the time, there's a possibility that the player will find bugs.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you can do about that.
Okay, so moving on. Next one is game development is not for everyone, or it is.
It is definitely not for everyone.
And why is that?
It is a very difficult, depressing job, that I can tell you.
Depressing job, seriously?
Yeah, it's like I mean, okay, it depends on what you're doing. If you're part of a larger team, if you're like an artist, maybe it might be okay. I don't know if the artists get depressed because of huge workload,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe if you're a writer, it might be better. But if you're doing coding, which is something you're gonna have to do if you're making games by yourself, programming is really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And there never really is a ceiling to knowledge in programming. It's such a vast domain that keeps on growing and growing, and the
Mm-hmm.
older you get, the less I don't know, the more new technology comes out,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to constantly learn all that new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And programming is one of those domains that keeps on introducing new things every day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a stress. I mean, if you want to start learning how to code, just be prepared to sacrifice a lot of your social life. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I can see how hard it is because yeah, obviously the outcome it's when it's beautiful, obviously.
Yeah. When it works, it's
Yeah.
the most rewarding thing ever,
Yeah.
right? But the sacrifice involved is sometimes not really worth it.
Mm.
So yeah, there's no way this is for everyone.
Okay, so okay, the next two we're gonna dig more into the whole like the other side of the gaming, like the whole based on that marketing the game although the game is shit with money, yes or no? Would that make the game if you market it with the shit tons of money?
it depends on your ethics. If you're just someone who wants to make money, yeah, then go ahead. But if you really care about player experience, if you really care about ethics, then yeah, I would say no. I'm more of a person who cares about ethics.
But it
Uh,
is
uh,
doable.
it is doable. Yeah, you can market a shitty game. A lot of, dude, like 90% of games on Android right now are shit. And they're only successful because they receive plenty of marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and they just have a system in place where they trick the player into buying something in the game, and
Mm-hmm.
even if they just trick you once, they market it to you once. Marketing it to you could cost $1, and then they trick you into buying something in the game that costs $20. They're done with you. They're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we've made money off this guy. They do this a lot. They put a large sum of money into marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and then they design the game to
In a way
be
that you
able
need
to
to buy things
increase
along the way.
more. Yeah. So every time they market, they know exactly how much they're gonna get out of you.
Mm-hmm.
They know the game is shitty, but yeah.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes they even give like free promotions to a lot of YouTubers. They pay the YouTubers some cash so they can promote the game, and the end once you download the link, once you download the game with that YouTuber's link, you get a lot of like prizes or like whatever diamonds or
Yeah,
coins in the
yeah,
game just for the sake of that you get like they get your attention. So
yeah. That's how they hook you in.
yeah. So moving on, this is the last one, and I want your honest opinion. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
A development team can smooth up the process, yes or no?
Definitely. Not exactly the team, but the leadership behind the team. If you have a good leader who can just lubricate everything between you guys, and also you guys having that synergy yourselves,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, a great team's, I mean, two heads are always better than one. A good team will always do something better than a solo developer will. And if I did have that opportunity, if I ever had the opportunity of having a team with me, I can't even imagine the stuff I'd make. I just don't have that yet. I'm hopefully, when I get the capital, I'll start my own studio,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, you're gonna see some crazy
Well,
shit.
I mean, based on your previous experience with a team, how was it?
I mean, if I'm talking about my day job, like software engineering, it's amazing. I'm having a great time working with the people I do, because uh, they really know how to do it, and we work so well together. And I'm probably gonna carry these skills on to, say, if I ever get back into game development
Mm-hmm.
professionally in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll do it in a heartbeat. And I have plenty of plans, for my gaming career. And yeah, it's definitely not going to be indie. It's not going to be on my own. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even for Outrush, I had to get a composer on board, right? I
Mm-hmm.
still needed opinions from my friends when designing that. So yeah, a team always wins.
Mm-hmm. So okay, I ask my guest at the end of the show. Uh, what's next for the future of game development? Where do you think you guys? What's the vision? What's next?
Well, I mean, games these days, basically, I think honestly, generally, they're all heading towards one direction, and basically that's just simulating our lives. It's basically replacing our life, our real life.
Mm-hmm.
We want games to feel as realistic as possible. We want games to be as immersive as possible. We want people to be completely lost in these worlds that we create for them. That they're becoming more than games. Now they're becoming experiences, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
not video games anymore. You can't really refer to them as games. Now we're heading into the virtual reality realm. We have games like Half-Life Alyx,
Yep.
which is showing us an example of exactly where we're going. And when VR technology gets much better than it is right now,
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, it's just gonna be a replacement of our real life. If we can actually interface a computer with our brains to a point where we cannot differentiate between reality, and virtual reality, that will probably be the peak of gaming. And I think
So
that's where we're heading.
I mean, it's always good to see the different side of like just to have like a prophecy about what it's gonna come in the future. Like, I always look into these things, like, even for music, like, we always try to imagine what's next, what sound, what analog devices, or like what softwares will come in into the game, and like, stuff like this. Even for, I mean, when it comes to gaming, is just another different world. As you said, I think our biggest achievement now is the VR, the virtual reality that they're incorporating, like as you said, that Half-Life Alexa. I actually I was fortunate enough to be on a Zoom call with a friend of mine who shared the screen while playing that game, and it was freaking awesome, man. Like, the details behind the thing, we actually, like he said, dude, you want to like see how detailed is this game. He went to a garbage can. There was a dead body. He brought out the dead body, and he was like, searching the guy's pockets and like, dragging him and stuff like this. He was removing his shoes and stuff like this. And even if you've seen the trailer, that what was that creature? The guy. I mean, I think that trailer went
Crab
viral.
head?
Yeah, he was doing that whole meme thing with the
Yeah, I think I
creature.
saw that.
You
Yeah.
see how, like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, when we are going this way, I think we can actually reach to a point that maybe we can like put ourselves in a game. Maybe they will release that type of a game that you can just, plug in some device and go inside the game yourself. Who
Yeah,
knows,
that's
man?
exactly what's gonna happen. And when that happens, we even we'll probably stop seizing. I mean, we'll probably cease to use the word game anymore, right? Because now you're just gonna be jumping into a virtual reality, and it's happening already, man. Half-Life Alex is already an example of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a preview of where we're heading. Once
Mm-hmm.
VR gets much better than it is now, then you're not gonna even be able to differentiate between real life and
Mm-hmm.
virtual reality. Yeah.
So, man, as a final word, wait, who's commenting? Gas is saying that was an awesome episode. You guys crushed it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gas. That means the world to me.
Thanks, Gas.
And Gemma is saying Black Mirror vibes. Really?
Yeah. When you talk about virtual reality, it's definitely Black Mirror territory.
Yeah, man. Dude, Max, final words, where they can find your game. I mean, I'm sure they can find it on every Google Play, Google Play Store and Apple Store and all the things, these things. So, but I want the main guy to say these things. So, where they can find the game.
Yeah, if you want to check out Outrush, I mean, you can just Google it up. You're gonna have tons of results, of Outrush on Google. You can search it on the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. You could also go to my website, ugindie.com. That's UGINDIE.com. And that's basically my publishing platform, publishing name. And that's where I'm going to be releasing all the updates for the games that I'm making. And I also have a small blog there. You can go read about how I started developing Outrush. And that is a good window to get into the game. You don't really have to go to the stores directly. I also have like plenty of links for press articles within the Uginde website. So if you want to check out all the reviews that were written, the professional reviews about the game, you can check them out there. So yeah, that's all.
So, Max, thank you very much for joining me for this session. I had a blast talking to you, man. It was amazing. It was super good to see that side of the gaming. You are in charge of doing this. You're in charge of writing this. So it's very interesting for me to get these information, firsthand from the guy who made a game by himself over a period of 3 years. I know it was hard, but at least now you can sit down and enjoy it. As people sending you in like, high scores, and there's like a community behind it. So I can see how happy you are, but I hope the best for you. I hope I see you make larger games, man. Like, maybe we'll see a multiplayer game, as you said, man, near the future. Yeah. Near future.
Hopefully, yeah.
So,
Near future.
Man, thank you very much for joining in. Thanks everyone who was like sticking around for this episode. It means the world to me. Thank you very much, guys. So again, at the end, I'll be just to recap on the announcement, I gotta be announcing the winner for NFS Heat copy download code for NFS Heat PS4. I'm gonna be announcing the winner on 21st of July, Tuesday. That's which in 2 days. I'm gonna be announcing it on the Instagram page of Convos and Chill. So go over there, do the drill, let your friends know about it, tag your friends in it. So any last words, Maxime?
I mean, I really appreciate you hosting me on this. I had a great time. You know, it was way smoother than I expected to be. This is actually my first podcast ever. I had a great time, and man, thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
This is not your last one. I will get you on board for in case if you have anything else coming up. So we're gonna
Yeah,
have
hopefully
more to
not.
talk, man.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. Yeah,
Cheers,
thanks
man.
everyone for joining. I appreciate the questions. Yeah, I had a great time, and just go check out the website, download the game, try to finish it. I dare you.
You heard the man himself, so he dares you to finish the game because he is that guy behind the seat. He's watching you beating the game. So go and download Outrush. It's an amazing game with a retro feel. You guys will enjoy it and let your friends know about the game. And thank you very much again, Maxime. I hope I see you soon, and hopefully we can sit down and have a drink over this. I actually gonna have a
Yep.
coffee or a tea, and you can have your beer and your drink. And it's good to see you, man. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you
Good to
guys
see you
soon,
too.
man.
Good to see you too.
Thank you very much,
Thanks a
guys, for
lot.
tuning in. Cheers. Goodbye.